I'm sure you've heard the news. Team List Tuesday is back. Ready for more stats, more laughs, and even more questionable advice? Strap in. Welcome to Off the Bench, the only NRL Supercoach podcast where the puns fly faster than the footy. Rossco's got the strategies, Timmy's got the stats, and the beast. Well, he's got a face for radio and opinions for days. From last-minute trades to epic captain fails, we're here to roast each other, and maybe help you out as well. Expect wild predictions, a bit of friendly banter, and the kind of footy chat that'll make you spit out your morning coffee. So grab your notepad, your best banter, and join the Supercoach shenanigans. The whistle's blown. Let's kickstart your day, the off-the-bench way.
Coach Off the Bench podcast for a chilly sort of and a bit wet and wild, whether you're up in Brisbane or going to get some ordinary weather coming our direction, I think, for all places, including Sydney. Rossco will get wet down there. I'm not talking dirty, Rossco. You calm down. Anybody, welcome wherever you're tuning in.
It's been a while.
Let me just try to say, here we were just telling Lockie that we're a PG podcast. Come on.
Don't forget to shoot us any questions you've got. We love the questions. We love any feedback we can get. I don't know who or how many's out there tonight that we'll get, but hopefully we'll get some of the regulars popping in. How are you going there, Rossco? How did you go this week?
Good evening, everybody. It was looking like an absolute dog shit round before today. I had Metcalf, who I've lost now with an ACL injury. Couchman's gone as well. A couple of forced trades. Used my last boost to sell Vayamuga from the Warriors to Haas for an extra 5 points, which was just absolutely fantastic. A few subpar scores there. Pappy, Kola, Kungi. I didn't have Hooker, so copped Stewart's 444 as an AE. But I'm not going to complain because I finished on 1348, thanks to Hughes and Katoa doing what they did today and captaining Drinky as well. So very happy with that. I wasn't sure how it was. It wasn't looking great there yesterday, but today was the saviour, well and truly.
Mate, that's not too bad. 1,300 odd. I mean, it looks like being a par score, I have to say. But I think you'll possibly see some green arrows there. You won't be too bad.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
Can't complain, as I said.
With us as well, we have Timmy O. Timmy would be very happy because the Broncos won. But apart from that, how are you, Timmy?
Yeah, I'm good now, mate. Now that I washed that crap off my face from yesterday, feeling much better. No Manly supporting today.
You could have left it at least on for the show, you know.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to risk getting it on the side of the pillow and getting in too much trouble at home. So I got plenty of stick at the footy. Plenty of people looked at me weird, wondering why the fuck I had a Manly logo on my cheek while I was wearing full Broncos kit. So it was interesting. Look, for anyone that didn't catch it on Facebook, go check it out. I did leave a video on there. Look, I lost a bet apparently a couple of weeks ago. I don't even know what the bet was about or what it was for, but the boys told me that I lost. So, anyway, deal's a deal. Hey, Macca. So, it was that the boys wanted me to paint Reece Walsh style, Manly stuff all over my fingers and toes, and I drew the line at that. Even with my daughters being on school holidays, I'm not sitting down letting them try and paint my fingers and toes. But we were at their hockey club yesterday for their mid-season breakup, and there was a lady there doing face paint. And after the kids all had a crack, I went back and saw her and said, hey, is there any chance you could put this Manly logo on my cheek? And she said, fuck no, I'm not doing that for no one. And, look, I understood why, but slipped her a 50. And, anyway, Bob's your uncle. She put it on and had to wear it all day and wore it at the footy yesterday at the Broncos game. So it came off late last night just after we got home before I slid into bed. So outside of that, boys and girls, my score, 1342, was Captain Drinky, had the VC on Pappy. All in all, was a pretty good round. I still left some points on the pine. Had CHT and Karapani that I brought in Karapani for Hiroti this week, but didn't actually play him. Just my centre wing was stacked, so I didn't need to. I think it probably might have, between those two, it might have given me an extra 10 or 15 points or something like that from the players that I played. So there's not really much I could do differently, but only made one trade. So I've still got 14 trades left, about 380K in the bank. So, everything's looking pretty good on the up and up.
Excellent stuff. All right, Joey's come in there with a comment, an early one. G'day, Joey. He's saying it's having a bit of a comment about washing that stuff off. The bet was whether Manly, it was a game between Manly, my team, and Timmy's team, the Broncos, and of course Manly smashed them. So, Timmy had to wear the tattoo, Oh, that on a Manly hat, and he chose the tattoo. Oh, I don't know. Manly hat would have been a lot easier. But,
yeah. Paying the face paint lady was cheaper than buying some rubbish online that I'll never wear again. G'day, Joey. He's from the Ruck Infringement podcast. If you haven't checked it out, check out the boys over there. Thank you for your involvement. Hey, Joey, you're going to have to tell us what your ranking is so we can have it could be a laugh or we could go, holy hell. Give us your ranking. I know he started poorly, but he's gone really well the last couple of weeks. He's been giving me a bit of a touch-up in the overall scores.
I think he posted up that he got a 1450 or something this week with Herbie's captain. So, yeah. So I'm not sure where he's ranked. I'm sure he'll be tuning in. He can let us know.
He has had some big scores over the last couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I think he's had a couple of 1400. So, he's been killing it of late. I think he was back in about 40,000 spot 3 weeks ago or something. So he's certainly on the up and up.
Now, for everybody who doesn't know, I am the beast. My week was a shocker. I've deleted the app and I've thrown my phone out the window. How this week has gone for me. It's just it was like me captaining Cleary for 16 points or whatever it was earlier in the year. I just can't. I had a choice today between Pappenhausen or Drinky for captain. I chose Pappenhausen. And unbelievably, he's the lowest scorer in my team. But because, of course, he doubles because he's captain, he still doesn't pop out for the flex. My vice captain was Ruben Garrick, who I much would have rather had. In fact, that would have been over 100 points better off if I had Garrick and I VC'd that in. And as my bench is pretty strong, I would have gotten a lot better. Now, with us today, we've got a very special guest. We've got Scoop Lachlan from the SC Hub. That's where you'll find him over there. If you're new to SC Hub, they're on Discord. I'm in there sometimes. Look, there's plenty of little chat groups in there, all sorts of things that are good to be able to find different topics and whatever, whether it be draft or all sorts of different things over there. If you're familiar with Discord, get into them. They're good fun. How you going there, Lachlan?
I'm going pretty well, Beast. Had pretty much the opposite week to everybody here. I was flying along quite well early on, and then, did the same as you, unfortunately. Captained Pappenhausen. So ended up on 1333, and I'll take that with that early cushion. But if you haven't seen the Supercoach Hub before, it's a great place. Lots of really experienced players to chat with on the regular, and some new ones always learning. So get amongst them. But glad to be on tonight.
It's excellent to have you. And how? Here's one. We'll leave you with a little bit of a gloat. How is your year going at the moment?
I've finally managed to nail the centre wing position this year. It's always eluded me. I'm currently sitting on 155 heading into this round. So I'd say with that score, I'll probably stick around close to there. Not too sure whether I'll go up or down yet, though. So pretty happy with that.
Oh, if I had a sound effect for applause, I'd do it, but I'll give you a clap for that. 155, mate.
I'll just chuck in another stat that not many people managed to do with Lachlan. I believe last week you didn't go up or down in ranks at all last week. Is that correct? You stayed exactly the same.
I went 155 to 155. I scored 1357, and that was exactly par for that. I've never done that before in any format. So that was pretty cool.
And correct me, I think it said in one of the chat groups that we're all in that it actually still gave you a red arrow.
It did. Doesn't deserve green because it didn't go up. I was wondering if it was going to give you like an orange or something, but nah, it's still red.
Yeah, all right. All right, we've got a few other listeners there. Benny G, g'day, Benny. Yeah, he had a quip earlier about deleting the app if you didn't get 1,400. All right, mate, I know. I'll take me 150 short of where I would have been if I had Pappy. So I guess it would have been near. If I had Drinky rather than Pappy, it would have been near that 1,400. But look, it's just one of those years for me, I'm afraid. And Al Fisher is often always in. Thanks, Al, for joining us as always. Hey, guys, 1362. Pre-updates. Captain on Drinkwater. Yeah, rub it in. No. No, good work there, boys. Good work indeed. Sounds like everybody got around about 350 to 1450 is going to be a nice sort of par region. All right.
Brad, before we move on, can I just ask really quickly, how many trades have we all got left? Starting with you, I guess.
10.
10 trades. How much cash?
Shitloads.
Yeah.
Roscoe? I've got too much cash.
I've got 11 with about 100K.
Yeah. I'm 14. I got 14 trades left and 370 something K, I think.
But in saying that, I'm very happy with my team at the moment. Like, there's probably only one or two more players that I want to get into my team. Like, I'm pretty well set at the moment. So, like I said earlier before we started, I've got 16 players for next round. Obviously, we only need 13. So, there's just a couple of players on my target. No, hopefully I can just save some trades. But obviously, losing Couchman and Metcalf doesn't help. So, yeah.
How many trades you got there, Locke?
I have 13 and about 150K in the bank. So I held sharp because I didn't love the options this week. And I'll go into that a little bit later with some strategy.
No, that's pretty good. That's very good indeed. All right, so we might as well hit straight off into these first game. Panthers versus Bulldogs. I'll say right from the get-go, what a cracking game of football. Probably, personally, the best game of the year, just from a viewer's point. I know not many points. There was no flashy, great big tries, but it was gripping. It was theatre. It was just a good game, boys, yeah?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. But it was like a grand final. It really was. It was just intense. We saw some really amazing try savers by Connor Tracy twice on Blaze Talangi. Just unbelievable. Just an all-round cracking game. It wasn't a high-scoring game, but I like the games like that where the ref just lets it flow. I thought he may have ruined it at the end when he called that penalty against To'o for that tackle, obviously, but luckily that didn't really do anything. But, I wrote Penrith off. I'm going to put my hand up. I'll admit it. I wrote them off a few weeks ago, said they won't make the 8. They're now on the 8 with now won 4 in a row, and they've got an easy next 5 games, so they could easily go 9 in a row. No doubt about that. So, you know what? Blaze Talangi's been going well. Cleary's starting to find some form again, although he's not goal kicking, and I think we need to start taking him seriously again.
Well, the scores here, Dylan Edwards got 102, 270 run meters, 7
massive.
7 tackle busts and 2 line breaks. We will talk about fullbacks a bit earlier because it's quite interesting when you compare them to a few other ones that are highly fancied around. But those stats alone speak for themselves. Nathan Cleary, 86. Good if you held him, but the other options also went pretty well this week, so not too bad. Mitch Kenny, no one owns him. He got 70. Isaiah Yeo, he's stock standard 65. Just being pretty solid. Nothing really much else to talk about there. Jenkins, 31. Nobody passed in the ball because he had McLean on his inside, and he's got glue on his hands as per normal. Connor Tracy for the Bulldogs, another fullback, was the best, 91 points there. Jacob Preston, he was just about the most traded in, close to the most traded in. 91 points there, or 90 points, sorry. Max King, the plotter, will exit for New South Wales duties, no doubt. 71. Kickow, 66, fairly highly traded in. Jacob Carraz, I think he was the most traded in 56. We'll lose some cash this week, so if you didn't get him, quite possibly not a bad one to get there, really. And that's about
The only problem is he won't. The only problem is he won't be playing round 18 either, because he's been named as 18th man for New South Wales too.
Yeah.
All right, Scoop, did you have any of these? Any relevance for you? Did you trade in any of those popular ones?
I did get Carraz. It's a little unfortunate that he's going to be probably missing next week now. Yeah, not super happy with how it turned out, but in that sort of a game, it doesn't really suit players like Carraz. I agree with you guys that was such. I only caught about the last half, and my heart was pounding at the end. Some of those plays around the wings that the Dogs were going for that just wouldn't quite stick. They were so high intensity. It was a fantastic game of footy.
Yeah. You don't have Jacob Preston. You didn't think about bringing him in.
I did, and the reason I thought not to bring him in this week because he's had about a 60% try scoring rate before this game, and I was worried about whether he could maintain that. Yes, he's a weapon out there, but unless he does get them the scores I wasn't loving, I think it was like a 48, a 52, a 47 and a 70, which is okay. But yeah, then he proved me wrong and went over again. So he's a good option. I'm just sort of sitting at the moment because I think I can only put one more good second rower in my team. And I think I might prefer to wait for like a Young or an Angus or something like that. But well, with this Young injury, maybe that won't work anymore.
Yeah. Benny said he went Lehigh over Carraz. Yeah, look, I can see why, sort of. They do have another bye coming up, though, Manly. So you're going to miss him for a week as well. We just have to wait and see on the Carraz news if, in fact, he stays at the 18th man. Anything else we want to talk about? Oh, you know who else had a good go in this game? The referee.
Yes.
We don't give them enough credit, but it was a cracking game from the bunker, and the referee did their job excellently. Yeah. But anything else?
Thank goodness Ashley Klein wasn't reffing this game, eh?
Oh,
shit.
We don't like it.
No.
Anything else on this game, anybody? We'll move along.
No, just strategically wise. Now that so many people have got Lehigh Hopewade in their fullbacks, is there? I mean, it's pretty hard because you want to stack your fullback spot, but is there a world where you could play somebody like a Connor Tracy as well, to sort of future-proof your squad and flick between the two back and forwards if need be when you start running out of trades at the end of the program? They're both obviously centre wing, fullback dual. Connor Tracy seems to be scoring all right at the moment. Obviously, this was a big game for him, but defensively, the guy was just massive. He was sensational. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not something that I think I'm going to do, but it's something that I have absolutely toyed with, especially while he's down in price at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sold on Lehigh. I know Benny might be and a few others. I can understand why they went in, but we'll talk about that game now. Rossco, do you want to have a go at the Tigers game? This is your team versus my team.
Yes, we can do that. This was an absolute bludger of a game, especially the first half. Absolutely terrible. Tigers had enough ball there to win probably 10 games of football with no attack. So Manly 28, Tigers 10, Garrick 93, DC 76. Turbo playing out in the centre's got a 75, Waddell with a 74. Hopewade, who we just spoke about, with a 59. And then on the other side for the Tigers, May with a 76. He looked good when he was in the halves with a 76, and then 12 with a 61. And De Silva, who's departing now to Parramatta, which I'll have to see what Scoop thinks about that, on a 4.5-year deal, I believe it is. And then Seyfarth with a 59. There, as I said, it was just a shit game to watch. It really was.
But there's a lot to talk about here. A lot to talk about. I might even put this one straight at Scoop here. Tommy Turbo playing in the centre, 77, 5 tackle busts, no line breaks, couple of offloads, and he still gets 77 points. At 450K, surely this has got to be an attractive proposition.
It is a rare sight to see a player like Turbo down sub 500K, and the base looked really good. He looked like he was playing well out there as well. And, back to your point about Connor Tracy, if there's any hope at all that Turbo gets sent a duel if he sits there for a little while, he would be the one that I would consider as that guy to flick up and down. Probably not so much a Connor Tracy, considering that in round 20, 21 sort of a thing, you can potentially get a Dylan Edwards or Latrell Mitchell that I just think will be way more dangerous and useful in the run home. But if there's Turbo there, I don't mind that.
Just quickly, it's saying we're not live.
Neither the time nor the place to be taking a phone call, Bradley. Get off the phone and get back to bed.
No, that was me ringing him.
Oh, right.
You just let me know for some reason.
Yeah, it's saying that we're not live on Facebook anymore. No, it says I'm on the page now. It says was live.
I don't know.
Saying
still says live.
Wait a minute. Yeah, just informing me now we're having trouble streaming to Facebook.
Yeah.
This may only be an issue on Facebook's end. Blah, blah, blah. So it's Facebook's end. It's so we're still live on YouTube. So sorry, folks, you're going to get it on YouTube, but we will put the recording up later because this is also getting recorded. So we'll put them up there. It just means probably a few less people coming in. Thanks for that, Rossco. If everybody wondered what was happening with the weird-ass calls. All right. So, where were we? So we're talking Tommy Turbo.
Duels. Yeah, I think the duels finish after round 18, don't they? Like they don't go back.
Yeah, he won't get. I don't think he won't get duel now because it's too late. Because this round coming now is the last one, and they've already come out and said who's going to get the duels. So it's not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's a bit too late for that to happen. But yeah, I don't know. Because he's a good price, like you said, Brad. Scoop. I mean, far out. But I'm loaded in fullback though. If we got him, could get him at centre wing, he'd be in everyone's team, I reckon. But there's just too many good choices at fullback ahead of him, I think, to be honest with you. And let's be honest, they're not going to play the Tigers every week. I'm pretty sure, Brad, you can probably back me up on this one. They've got a horrible draw coming up too, haven't they? I'm sure Manly do.
It's not flash. It's not as bad as some, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so look, their draw for the next few weeks now, they go into Bunnies in 18. They've got the bye in 19. Go Storm in 20, Dogs 21, Roosters 22, Raiders 23. So that's a pretty tough 4 weeks there for them. They do finish Tigers, Finns, Dragons, and Warriors in round 27.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ruck Infringement. Yes, the Facebook feed looks like she's dropped out, but it's dropped out from Facebook end, so nothing I can do about it. We're just going to plow on. YouTube is still working A-OK. We are sorry, and it probably is Timmy's fault. It always is.
No different to being here at home, mate.
Jeez.
The world ended. It's absolutely my fault.
That's what his missus is going to tell him, that he's got his 8th kid on the way, and he's going to go, well, it was my fault.
Play on.
All right. So now Benny G was just talking before about Lehigh, so we sort of discussed him. Really a bit of a subpar score. I wouldn't mind betting in a couple of weeks Tommy goes back to fullback if that's going to continue. Anybody think that?
Yeah, maybe. He didn't have the best game. Yeah.
You're right.
You're right. No, you're right. Go on.
By all accounts, it was more, I don't know, whether it just seemed like a bit of a nerves thing. Obviously, he knows he's got to perform because he knows Tommy's there. The team already got a bit upset and said that apparently that they wanted Tommy to stay in fullback. And Siebes has gone, he's playing busted, he's broken, might as well be shit, call him what you like. So I think as a coaching staff, they made the call to say that it's Lehigh's spot now. So I'd imagine there's a fair bit of pressure on the kid and certainly high on the nerves cycle. So, yeah, look, I don't know. I think he certainly looked nervous, did make a few fairly costly errors, but surely they're going to give him a 3 or 4 week run at it. And then if things go to shit, maybe it goes backwards. But at the moment, I think it's his spot to lose.
Timmy, Joey just wants to know if you're going to name your next kid Carmichael Hunt.
No more kids for me, mate, that's for sure. Once I found the problem, I went and saw a bloke about it.
Ruben Garrick, as you said, he finished very well in this game. And apart from Terrell May, there's no one really relevant there to really chat about, is there?
No.
All right. Timmy, no, we won't go you next. We'll do me, and then you're going to do the Broncos game. So it really was not a great Friday night of football. The Knights versus the Raiders. The Raiders got over the Knights 18 to 22 to the Raiders. It looked like the Raiders win all night. They looked in control. I know it looks like it was a close game, but it never really felt that way to me. Schiller, 109. Best was quite good, 81. I think he's a very serious. If they had a nicer draw, he would be an option. Kalen Ponga, 61, is a sell now, but we'll talk about that in a second. Dylan Lucas is updated a little bit. That's rather nice. What's he get? 59 still. Not that flash. And that's really about the end of the relevance there. For the Raiders, Kyo Weeks, 109, 2 weeks after I sold him. Yeah, good on you, Kyo. 106 to Zach Hosking. There was a nice one for my team. At least I did play him this week. Saagi, is that his name?
Sasagi, is it? I don't know.
92. I don't think anybody's got room for him at second row at the moment. There is a few pot runners out there that have got Strange and good on you. 81. Joey Tapine, 52 points, is that? Yeah,
62. 62.
Wow. Not flash, is it? Hasn't been flash ever since I bought him. But anyway, I'm stuck with him for the year, I think. Anybody got any relevance here? How'd you go here, Scoop? You got many of these players, or you wouldn't have Kalen Ponga, not ranked 155?
No Ponga for me. I've got the big three fullbacks. I did reserve Hosking, though, so managed to get his points. Was very pleased with that. Yeah, with Young out, I was expecting 80 minutes. Was just hoping he could go above 50 after what he's been putting out the last few weeks, but pleasantly surprised. So I will absolutely take that ton.
Yeah. No, it was a nice surprise, but myself, and you probably thought it too, without I own Hudson as well, and without Hudson playing, I thought, well, I might as well throw it to Zachy. And yeah, he did get a lot of ball, and he certainly stepped up without Hudson there. So that was a nice play there. Anybody want to make a comment on any of these Raiders or Newcastle Knights players?
Yeah, I want to make a comment. Fuck you all for playing Hoskins. That's all I've got to say, all right? I had so much depth in my team that he sat on my bench and just frustrated the shit out of me. He nearly scored twice as well. I was so annoyed. Like, if I'd have played him over Couchman, I would have scored over 1,400. It's so frustrating, but that's them the breaks, mate. When you've got the depth, you've got to leave players out. You know, I'm sure you've got that problem, Scoop, where you're sitting at the moment, that at the back end, you've got to make these crucial calls with players to leave out based on matchups or whatever it might be.
Yeah, some of them are going to be a bit painful. Like when we come later on in the season, and if Krappeni's still scoring tries and he's putting up 60s and 70s versus like a White or a Hosking, who do we take? It's difficult questions like that. But yeah, at the moment, I did play him. I had 18, so had to, sort of a thing. Yeah, one player I do want to just touch on before we move on is Jamal Fogarty. Before the last two matches, I think was about the third best averaging halfback. And with that super duper draw, as you were mentioning before, so if he'll bottom out somewhat soon, below 600K. And if you pick him up after that Raiders bye, maybe, he could be a really interesting point of difference in the run home.
Yeah, my only concern is they've still got 2 buys, and that's why I've sort of stayed away from some of the Raiders, because they've got a nice draw, but the buys are in there. When you go through, so they've got Saints next week. They've got the first bye, then they go Para, Newcastle, St. George, Manly, then another bye, Panthers, Tigers, Dolphins. So they've got a bye in the first knockout for head-to-head in round 24, then go Panthers, Tigers, Dolphins. So, yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing that's kept me away. I'll absolutely be going Hudson Young after Origin, but it'll only be because I'm going to have seven second rowers. So I'll be trying to move those guys around.
Well, versus the Saints next week, whatever you do, Rossco, Timmy, anybody, play Zach Hosking, for Christ's sake. Versus the Saints, they're going to get anything.
Well, most people are going to have to play him anyway, because unless you've got more than 17 players available, like I said, I've got 16. So he's going to be in my team, and whether he ends up in my best 13 is yet to be seen. But yeah, one I want to speak about, and I know it's a shocking play maybe, but KO Weeks, who you just spoke about, with 190, so inconsistent. But I know Brad, you just sold him. You're shaking your head. No, just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Just don't.
His floor is you're better off with Connor Tracy, really.
No, not a fullback. Just in 5/8 position to replace Metcalf.
Oh, geez,
I don't know.
Alexa done nothing, which will appear on our Facebook page, so do look out for that tomorrow. But there is a few better options, I think, in 5/8. In fact, the 2 highest averaging 5/8 above Metcalf, we're going to leave you probably 150K cheaper. Yeah. And yeah, you should be getting either one of those 2, and Weeks isn't one of them. Certainly not.
I don't know.
Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself.
So that's his third. Sorry, boys. So that's his third ton for the season. He had one against the Storm in round 9, another one against the Titans in round 11. He obviously got the ton this week. So, but I mean, to go between that, he's had a 25, a 24, a 45, a 39. So
shit.
It's a pretty wide berth. Even if the tons do increase his averages, there's some pretty low floors in there. And I just think the Raiders are just a really hard team to play on matchups as well. Like one of the tons he got was against the Storm. Now, if you were playing Raiders against the Storm, he's not the kind of player that you would have played. You would sit him against the Storm in that game. So, you're not going to play him in that when eventually he turned up. I mean, the Titans are a little bit different. I think you captain or vice captain any player that you've got against the Titans this season, and you just about put your house on it.
I've just been thinking all season 5/8's been a mud position. It really has, and that's why I've stuck with Metcalf. I've got King Kong or King Tonga there as well, whatever you want to call him. But it's just I'm just thinking it's a position that's probably not even worth investing in. I mean, Munster's not going great. Dylan Brown's hit and miss. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, yeah. So
it's certainly the position where you can go a pod, absolutely. And I think it's probably going to have the least detrimental effect to your team if they shit the bed, because everybody else isn't much better.
Well, but I disagree. I really do. I honestly disagree. There are 2 players. We might as well get into it now, seeing as how you've gone down.
I've opened up a can of worms. Yep.
There are 2 players that are averaging well over 73s. Those 2 players are Ezra Mann at 520K, and he's averaging. But Ross, look, I don't approve of what he did. I don't like them, but you can't fault statistics. 73 has been his yearly average to date. The Broncos' run is really good coming up. Right, man. I think if you can hold out for him, And the other one is Cam Munster, who's also averaging. You said he was not going that good. If you're averaging over 70, you're going good, and he is averaging over 70. So I'd have to pull you up on that one. And the other one at 550K is Blaze Tulagi, who's also averaging over 60. All three of those I'd rather have over Kaya Weeks any day of the week. And as I said, one is averaging over 60s and two are averaging over 70. Well, that's not a mud position. That's a good position when you look at the stats of it.
No, absolutely, mate. I've got Munster helped Bailey out with his trades a couple of weeks ago. When he first came back in, and we brought Ezra Mam straight into B's team. So Bailey's pretty stoked, especially being the Broncos superhero that he thinks he is. So, look, mate, his average is obviously brought up a little bit with the 128 that he had his first game in round 11. Since then, he's gone 41, 58, 64, and what did he get this week? A 70-something or 70 on the dot. So, the draw for the run home's not that bad either. We go Bulldogs in 18, Gold Coast 19. We've got the bye in 20. Then go Para, Bunnies, Storm, Dolphins, Newey, Cowboys, Storm. So obviously two tough games there against the Storm. The game against the Dolphins is going to be a tough one, and there's another one against the Gold Coast again. So outside of that, I think they're games that we can win. They're games that we need to win, absolutely, if we want to try and squeeze into that top four, although that's pretty tough with 4 points behind at the moment. But absolutely, mate, the way the Bronx are playing at the moment, since Ezra Mam's come back and Reece Walsh is back and firing, we look like a different football team. I'm looking forward to having Payne and Paddy back full-time on the field and not having to worry about minutes through Origin and things like that. So, whether or not the boys get a rest at some stage, I don't know. But it'll be all guns blazing after round 20, that's for sure.
I can see Scoop furiously taking notes over there. What do you think about the 5/8 conundrum that they've put up and what the point I just made?
I think there are a couple of good options, and scrolling all the way back to the weeks part, I think considering his price versus the price of some of the others that are coming up, like Jaden Campbell, the Titans are going also pretty ordinary, but he's going to be very cheap too. And until that game where he did nothing because he got injured, he was also averaging about that 70 points. So, I think compared to some other positions, you can get away with having a weak 5/8 too. But you need one of those as your main guy for sure.
Yeah. All right, Timmy, hit us with the Broncos news, mate. You've spoken already about the Broncos that much. Let's get it out of the way.
Do we have to let him do this?
Yeah, look, did we win a game? I don't know. I wasn't paying much attention. No, look, it was a cracking game yesterday. I took my kids out to Suncorp Stadium. Bronx got up 26-12 over the Warriors, mate. Dead set. It is the scariest game that we have on our calendar, I reckon, our home game against the Warriors. Because dead set, if you live in Brisbane and you've never been to a Broncos Warriors game, it is absolutely a home game for the Warriors. The noise when they run out on the field is way louder than it is when the Broncos run out, which goes to show you how many bloody Kiwis obviously live in Brisbane, because it is dead set. If they had a roof, it wouldn't be there anymore, that's for sure. They were so loud, it was just nuts. And every time there was a decent hit and things like that, it was, they certainly were vocal. Yeah, as far as Supercoach goes, Shibasaki repaid the owners. I've got him in draft, but not in classic. It actually, the one game that I lost for head-to-head in classic is the owners got Shibasaki. So that one actually really hurt me. So he had 116. Karapani rewarded all the owners that brought him in this week. Not only was he nice and cheap, semi-cheap at 290K, he smashed his 80-odd BE out of the park, nearly doubled it. So he'll go up 120, 130K, something like that this week. Ezra Mam, like we just said, with a 70. Reece Walsh with a 62, slightly down on what people were hoping for, but he certainly seemed heavily involved, and he's definitely pulled the handbrake on as many silly, low percentage plays as what he was doing before he got injured. So, things are looking up. A-Ray with a 58, Jordan Ricky with a 55. I don't know how, because the guy just looks like he does nothing. He misses tackles left, right, and centre, barely runs the ball up. I don't know how the hell he got 55. Paddy Carrigan with a 54, so he is starting to drop a little bit in price. He'll be a good handy pod play for the run home if you want to pick up one of those guys in your second row. Staggs was sensational, but only scored a 50. He's just one of those players that he needs a few solid tries to get a solid score. But, mate, he was in everything. He was man of the match and just looked fantastic. As for the Warriors, Chanel Harris-Tavita certainly rewarded me for holding. I've got him as my second 5'8". Just hasn't been worth trading him out, to be brutally honest. So he smashed his BE, which is handy for me. So 67. Aaron Clark with a 62. I nearly went Hosking to him, stuffed around with it a few times, went between Aaron Clark and Jacob Preston. Ended up holding fire on Hosking and stoked that I did. Tuivasa Sheck, Rog with a 57, Wade Egan with a 53. Another head knock. He passed his HIA, but how many is this bloke going to get? It was scary to watch, like even there at the ground, and you could just, it was almost like the whole crowd just went, oh, after he got knocked out. So, knocked out, but then passed. So I don't know. Surely he's on his last legs. Fisher Harris with a 50, Jacob Laban with a 50, Vimoga with a 46. Big up yours for Rossco from Vimoga for selling him to Payne Haas.
Yeah, and he outscored him too, even better. And it cost me a boost.
You got many of these Broncos players there, Scoop? I mean, they're very relevant coming up. As Tim said, they're going to come into the nice part of their draw soon.
Just the two, Haas and Karapani. It's crazy that Haas is just about the lowest score in our teams this week. He's 45 is not what I was really expecting in this game. So he'll be one to watch because he's been carrying tiny little bits of niggles, but then he crashes out that huge one last week. So who knows what we're going to get.
Yep. All right.
What I will say though is, in the case of last week, for those that weren't at the game or weren't watching the game closely, the game last week he actually did 3 stints, which is well and truly not a usual thing. So I think they took him off. They were going to leave him off, but then an injury occurred and they basically sent him straight back on for another 15 minutes or something, and then brought him off and something similar happened. So they put him on for the third spell. So I dare say that they've wanted to give him a rest. He seemed to be off for a fair amount of time this week. I haven't looked at his minutes exactly. There was a few injuries throughout the game, so it was sort of a little bit hard to keep an eye on the clock and how many minutes he was actually getting. But he did seem to be down in minutes from a spectator point of view, I guess you'd say. I'll be interested to watch that one. But absolutely, look, I dropped Payne Haas for Joey Taps before Origin started, hoping that I could swap him back for a similar price by the end of round 20. And that's still what I'm hoping for.
Now, just bear in mind, folks, that as we won't go too much into it now because we've already discussed it quite a bit. But in the 5'8" position, Luke Metcalf looks like he's done an ACL. He will not be back this year, if it is correct. And Chance Nickel-Clockstead looks like he's probably out for around 4 weeks himself. Luke Metcalf is owned by around about 60,000 super coaches presently. So there's an awful lot of raid trading that's going to be going down this week as people scramble because an awful lot of those people will be active players, what we call actives. We'll see a fair bit. Rossco, do you want to hit us with the next game, mate? The Bludgers Cup.
Another bludger, another bludger of a game. Dead set, another shocker. Dragons 34, Parramatta 20. Val Holmes, he had a cracking game, 117. Cook with a 68. King Tonga, for those who have owned him like me, making cash nicely with a 68. Corey Allen with a 62. Shout out to Nathan Lawson, who came on as a late in, scored a double and still only managed 51 points. So, that was fantastic. On the other side, Talangi, top scoring, Brad with a 97. He's now facing 3 weeks suspension for a crusher tackle, however. Lomax with an 88, just doing Lomax things. Aongi, for those who still held him, I don't know how many you have. 86, Katoga, doing Katoga things. He was good too, with an 85, and Jack Williams 74, Dylan Brown 63. Obviously, there's a bit to go through in this game. There's some injuries in this game too. Couchman's gone. He's done his shoulder again. Sounds like they may have to do the surgery. He was playing through the season with painkillers, basically, but I don't think he's going to be able to play anymore. So it sounds like he's done. Leilua had an injury too. Fafita with an injury. Hamish Stewart with a Cat 1 HIA. They were down to one player at the bench at one stage. And I believe Damien Cook's also got some sort of injury as well. So, yeah, unfortunate. But yes.
Now, anybody out there considering trading in any players from the Red V? I know Val Holmes, look, he probably is fixture-proof a little bit, maybe. But remember, they were playing Parramatta. But the Dragons play 3 of the top 4 teams in the next 4 weeks. All right. And then I think the other one is the Broncos. So their run is horrendous coming up. You don't want to be on any of these players. Plus, with all these injuries, they could, they barely finished the game with 12 players on the field because Damien Cook was only a passenger towards the end as well. I'm assuming he's probably going to be out next week. It's just horrendous for them. And I really don't think it would be worthwhile. What do you think, Scoop? Do you adhere to that?
Yeah. With all of those injuries as well, it's just going to take them down a notch or two. And I think there's going to be some scores put on them. So I was considering Tuipulotu a little bit this week to move Sharp onto directly, but I was sort of didn't like the high break even, a few things coming back from hamstring. So, didn't, thankfully. I think, 3 minutes to go before Lawson jumped in and then scored a double and then did nothing. Crazy situation. But, no Dragons for me in this one, and I don't think I'll be bringing any in.
Zach Lomax, are you interested in him? I mean, you're an Eels man. So, you got a bit of a favoured preference for Lomax?
Yeah, I did bring him in last week. I was pretty upset with him at halftime. I think he was on about 15 or something because I put the VC on him. And thankfully he came good. But 71 points before updates, 88 after points. Considering I had 18 for the week, that would have been in, I would have thought about looping him at least. Yeah, hard to go against 2 fullbacks, so probably wouldn't. I think with post-Origin, he's got to be probably one of the 4 big centre wing guns you'll want in your team. But you probably haven't missed out too badly over these last 2 weeks. He hasn't gone humongous in those 2 easy games for you.
Now, as a Parramatta fan, can you take your unbiased hat off? Is there anybody really in Parramatta that you should consider?
Not really. It's Lomax, and that's about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think any. Timmy, you don't own any Parramatta player?
Not for Para, mate. The only one I would consider, especially depending on the injury on Cook, would absolutely be Jacob Little. The guy's a tackling machine and he likes to run the footy. So if the only thing that's affected him and Damien Cook this season is they're basically doing a 40-40 split week in, week out, there or thereabouts. So one might get a few minutes extra one week, but the other seems to get a few minutes extra the week after. So that's absolutely a situation I'd be keeping an eye on. Jacob Little's priced at around $450K. So, he had a down week this week. So chances are he'll probably be a little bit cheaper next week. And if he's, depending on how long Cook's out for, you could probably have a bit of a look there.
It's pretty crazy how well he's done this season. He has averaged 40 minutes and he's averaging 48.
Yeah.
So if you give him more minutes, he's going to be huge.
And absolutely, like you'd like to think, apart from the fact they'll probably spend a fair bit of time standing under their posts over the next few weeks. But look, the guy does like to have a run at the line when he's sort of 10 metres out, and but he does like to make plenty of tackles as well. So like you were just alluding to, his points per minute is pretty awesome. So if he can get to 60 minutes even, and they've got someone coming off the bench for 15 or 20, he's certainly a 60 to 70 sort of average player for that run home in a hooking spot where it's sort of, I mean, I've still got Smith, and he's probably not going anywhere unless something really jumps out at me. Harry Grant would be the other option, obviously, but his form's been up and down this year, and he's still got to play Origin, so he's probably not one you want to pick up till about round 20 anyway.
Yep. All right. The final game on Saturday was the Dolphins versus the Rabbitohs. 50 points to 28 in favour of the Dolphins. I'm afraid the Rabbits were getting belted here. Took the Dolphins took the foot off the accelerator a little bit late in the game. For the Rabbits, Tallis Duncan actually got about the highest score in Supercoach at this point in time, 134. Jack Whiten with 2 tries, 96. Cody Walker somehow got 89 points. I know he got some try assists in there, but it looks like he's done his groin now, and he will be out yet again for an extended point in time. I think his ownership is incredibly small anyway. Nobody owns him. Latrell Mitchell updated. Wow, 82 points. He had a big update. Yeah, so something happened there. So Latrell is also in the pod region. Over at the Dolphins, the Hammer, 4 tries, 129. He also, his involvement was very high. He had a stack of meters, a lot of tackle busts. I think his tackle busts are about 9 or something crazy. I bagged out Isaiah Katoa a couple of weeks ago. I'm not bagged him, but I said that I didn't really see him as an option, only because as of yet, he hasn't shown a high ceiling. Well, he's now popped over 100 for the first time, 111 points. So maybe he does have a high ceiling in him. So I'm wrong. Sorry. Jeremy Marshall-King, 88 points. Very good. Herbie, 86 points. He just seems to take the field and he accumulates points. Avarillo, 79. Kurt Donahue is a pod. Jump on him, 77. A pod at hooker. It looks like he's locked down that number 13 spot indefinitely. He would be a one to be of interest. Right.
He's got the dual position too, which is pretty handy. So you could have him and have what's his name from the Sharks and flick them both.
Connor Watson, Cameron McInnes.
Yeah, absolutely. Cameron McInnes was the one I was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, Watson's absolutely the other one after Origin's finished.
Anybody tempted to vice captain Herbie Williams?
Yeah, well, I nearly captained him. I was choosing between Herbie or Drinky. And I actually thought Souths were going to turn up for this game because I thought they were pretty good against the Storm the week before. And then I went back and had a look to see that Drinky had scored round 8, I think it was. He scored 135 against the Titans. So despite the fact he hadn't scored well last game, I locked him in. But Isaiah Katoa, though, Brad, I mean, obviously, like you said, he hadn't really kind of been relevant. But now that Nicoreema's out, the sniper was at this game again. Sniped Nicoreema with a hamstring injury, but I think Katoa stocks can probably just go up now with him out. There is probably talk that Donahue, though, might be getting moved into the halves, which would then probably make him not a buy if that's the case.
Oh, yeah, no, that's bad.
Yeah. And obviously, Colin.
Surely they'd pull out somebody else though, because they've got no Gilbert, they got no Plath. Yeah, they really need him. I'd prefer him at 13 for them, but I guess we'll see.
Where's Sean O'Sullivan? Is he injured or is he just playing reserve?
Not getting picked. He's just not getting picked. He might be the one that have to come in, possibly, maybe. I don't know.
Because I saw him on the bench, as in not on the actual bench, but I saw him sitting in the stands with the rest of the team and stuff. The other last game, I think it was the game for last weekend. So surely if he's fit, he's the next cab off the rank that'll come in, unless they've got another younger guy that's going to come through. But I would think surely with the way that Donahue's been playing and they don't have to play him so much through hooker anymore unless he's resting JMK for 15, 20 minutes or something like that if he has a spell. But, yeah, surely they would just leave Donahue in the second row or 13 spot.
Just quickly, there's two players I want to quickly speak about. Obviously, Colin Matungi had a down game with a 45, which wasn't great for owners. The other one I want to talk about, which Scoop and I spoke about earlier in the chat, is Tallis Duncan, boys. Now, he's going to be close to 600K now. However, since he's gone to that edge role for South, he's gone scores of 70, 113, 63 and 134. Do we actually think he's a serious option or not as a pod? He's about 4% owned at the moment.
Yes, he's one that I think we talked about on the show about 3 weeks ago after his first ton. Yeah, look, he's absolutely. It was one that we sort of said we wanted to keep an eye on minutes. He's been touted for ages as the next Cam Murray and just hasn't had the minutes and the opportunity. But he's finally seems to be getting the opportunity now, and he's repaying the coaching staff. So, yeah, look, it's an interesting one. For their draw for the run home, they go Manly, then they've got the bye in 19, Panthers 20, Sharks, Broncos, Gold Coast, Para, St. George, Roosters. So considering for head-to-head finals, he's got Gold Coast 23, Para 24, St. George 25, Roosters 27. Yeah, you could pile up on South players from the look of that.
I think final updates have just dropped, fellas. So
Yep, they have.
Have a look at your team if you want. Mine went up about 40 points. And actually, I went from only winning 3 head-to-head matches to winning about 7. So I must have scraped past a few people.
Yeah, wow. That's a big update for you. Well done.
Including Chris.
You got 40 points, did you say?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow. I got 16. I'm on 1349.
I'm up to 1363, so I went up about 20, not even really 20 points.
Oh, there you go. I'm clubhouse leader because I passed Rossco. I'm now at 1366.
I'll piss off.
I think you had me by
You're still not clubhouse leader in the overall ranks, so don't worry about that. Catch me if you can.
All right, the Sunday games. This is a very relevant game. The Storm versus the Sharks. The Storm do not have any buys left. If you don't realise that yet, there's a bit of info for you. Buy Storm players. You should. Jerome Hughes, 113. Should be one that's on your shopping list. If he's not, have a look at him. Eli Katoa, 110. You should own him. Right? I can't give any other advice than that. Trent Ferrero, 84. Jesus Christ, did he shit the bed or something? What happened there? How did he get 84?
He scored a try, but he nearly bombed it over the line. He lost it and then quickly grabbed it as he went over the line again. I know.
I've never seen him with a score that high. I think that's got to be his high score. Nelson Asofaloma, 61. Cam Munster, 52. He looked like he was on a tear early on. I thought he was going to end up in all sorts of points. And, look at that. Pappenhausen, he's gone up in updates, 6 points to 48.
Yes.
Double that. There's 16 of my 40 points, mate.
And not to mention the sniper was at this game as well with Faye Logo as well.
Yeah, well, that's a shocking shame. I don't like to see any player injured. That was he looked like he's in a hell of a lot of pain there. Nico Hines, 62 was the Sharks' best. I don't know what to say about the Sharks. 52 for AFB. I actually was considering him as a buy nearly, but man, I don't think I can now. He's certainly getting cheap, but Britton Nakora, 51. There's really not much. I had too many Sharks players. It's been one of my faults. I honestly thought they were going to go on for a little run. They had a lovely draw. I read it wrong. They're shit.
They're flat track bullies. That's what they are. Let's be honest.
Boys, I missed this game because I took my all my girls, including my lovely wife and mother-in-law, to Disney on Ice this afternoon. So I missed this game completely. Did Talakai end up playing still at left centre, or is he pushed into the second row? Did he go through a forward rotation? Where did he end up playing?
No, he was playing centre.
So that must
Left
be the
centre.
first game this season that the left centre didn't score a try for the Sharks.
Well, other than the try that Trindle scored, they really didn't look like scoring one in this game, to be honest with you. They were terrible. They were absolutely terrible. I know, Scoop, did you catch this game? Because I thought the Sharks were average, and it's very concerning. They're down to 10th now, so they don't have a great draw coming up, and they could easily miss the 8 now.
Yeah, I wasn't watching, but I was listening to it while I was doing other stuff, and all I could remember from that game was, they kicked too far longer. They kicked too far longer. They kicked too far longer. I was like, just give it to Capt, please. But yeah, it's really danger signs for the Sharks. I don't think they know how to close out games or how to manage things, because I really thought at the beginning of the year they were going to be pushing for a premiership, adding AFB to their roster. It just has not worked out at all. On the AFB front, though, yeah, his minutes have been really good the last month. I think he got 59 this week, but I think he's almost like needing to be that big minute guy because the Sharks have not been doing great, and so isn't doing his explosive stints that are a bit shorter. So who knows? But yeah, I reckon the Sharks will miss if they keep playing like this.
Right, they've been a massive disappointment for me. We have a very interesting watcher on YouTube, a Mr. Holden Me Balls. Obviously a friend of yours, Scoop, yeah?
He's in the chats in the Supercoach Hub Discord game day quite a lot. One of the mods around there, so good to see you there, Holden.
You look like
just quickly, one I want to talk about here is going to be bloody super cheap after Origin is Harry Grant too, boys, for those looking for a hooker. Only scored a 45 this game, so I think he did just beat his break even of about 39, but I don't know whether to stack up what to make of this, because they always seem to share the points around here. Like Pappy scored low, they got 30 points, but then Katoa was massive in this game. Like he was in everything. Hughes was huge, and then Munster sort of didn't. I don't know. I just find it hard to have too many of them because they share those points around. What do you guys think? Like, I don't know. I just don't know whether to get on Harry Grant or not. I mean, I've already got Hughes, and I've got Pappy, and I've also got Katoa.
I just don't like actual hookers this year. I think I'm probably going to go Watson or something.
My plan is absolutely Connor Watson after Origin's finished. I'll be shit scared because he does seem to tend to be made of glass after Origin, and I just fucking hate watching it. But he's great for Supercoach. He scores a shit ton of points, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know. He's the only one that I'm really looking at, but I'll be waiting till after, which was why I was sort of looking at before as a backup hooker if you could or whatever, having somebody a dual hooker second row just to flick them around in case you do run out of trades and Connor Watson goes down. I'm happy to talk more about that with you guys, but just a really quick question. I'm still a Nico owner. His BE was 61. He hit a 60. Is it a case of sort of missed the boat to go from him to Hughes now? I know Hughes has been a little bit hot and cold himself, so I'm not really sure what to do there. Obviously, I want Cleary would be my end game, especially the way that the Panthers are playing at the moment. I've got DCE and Hines currently. DCE looks like maybe he's turned a corner. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure whether to, like I said before, I've got stacks of trades and stacks of cash. So is it a smart move to go Hines to Hughes now, especially with Hines on the bye next week, and have an extra with a higher ceiling for from Hughes?
My initial thought, just straight off the top of my head, is that's what we call a sideways trade. It's a classic sideways. If you have a look at his stats, I don't think there's going to be much between them. In fact, I think Hines probably is ahead stat-wise. But, yeah, to me, it just smells of a sideways trade. But if the Sharks really are stinking it up and going worse, and maybe, it might not be a bad one. But we don't have that many trades.
But they've still the reason why. Sorry, the reason why I'm looking at it as well is obviously Hughes' buys are all done and dusted, whereas the Sharks have still got 2. So he doesn't play 18 and he doesn't play 25. Now for 25, that's key matches with head-to-head finals. So he's going to miss that. At which point, for that run home, I mean, they do have some good games there where they play the Cowboys, St. George, Cowboys in 22, St. George 23, Gold Coast in 24, but then has the bye in 25, Newcastle 26, which will be head-to-head grand final. So the Bulldogs game in 27 is neither really here nor there. But to have somebody like that sitting on your pine, not playing for your head-to-head grand finals, is there a world where you go now on Hughes and pick up 2 extra games?
Yeah, as I said, who was going to – somebody was going to have a point there. Was it you, Rossco?
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, 62 in a side that was completely flogged isn't too bad, but as you said, alluded to, Hughes is very inconsistent too. He has got some low games in him as well, which is obviously a bit of a concern too, but he has got a lot of upside too, and they have been attacking that right side a lot to Katoa. So it is a hard one. I don't own Hughes, and Hines, I should say. I haven't owned Hines since like early in the season, so I don't really know what to make of it. But yeah, it's a hard one. I mean, Sharks aren't playing well by next week. I don't know. I don't know whether I do it or not.
What do you reckon, Scoop? Any advice for Tim there? And that's a Hines issue.
As somebody that's owned Hughes from quite early on, I bought him just before his price dipped, and then have held since then. He's somebody that I'm scared to play each week because it just depends which Melbourne spine member is having a turn that day, pretty much. Who's having the good game. Today we saw Hughes went for a big one and Munster sort of took a back seat and disappeared after that early start. I think the addition of Pappenhausen this year has made it so that there isn't just 1 or 2 specific players to be dominant on the day. I think you can have him, especially if you have 1 or 2 other Melbourne spine players in, Munster or Pappenhausen, because almost guaranteed one of them will go really big, but the others might be a little bit disappointing. So would I trade from Hines? With your amount of trades, it'd be very 50-50. With anyone who has lower trades, I'd just say no.
Hines has got the higher average too. By the way, I know he doesn't seem to be scoring well at the moment, but in a team that's getting flogged, like I said, I think you'd take 62 any day of the week.
Yeah, it just seems sideways, as I said. It's what you call a sideways trade, but which you can do if you've got a lot of trades, but you don't really have that many. I mean, 13 trades is not huge, or 14, whatever you got, 14. You're still going to be tight come the end of the year. Better than me. You want to sell me a couple?
I just think it's a bridge. It's a bridge to get closer to Cleary though as well. I think at the moment there's more chance, especially like Hughes had a low BE this week. It was 30 odd, so he obviously smashed that out of the park. So he's going to go up in value, and he'll probably have a very low BE for his next week's game as well. So it's a bridge to Cleary also, and then a decision to make when the time comes after round 19, 20 as to which player I send to Cleary, whether that be DCE or Jerome Hughes.
All right, Ross, send us home. What's our last game doing?
Oh, wasn't doing much, was it? There was plenty of points there for Scott Drinkwater, I know that. Titans 24, Cowboys 30, Phillip Sammy 109, Brimson 95, Furman 94, Weaver 74, Jojo Fafita 74, Tino with a 57 for those that still own. Then on the other side, Drinky with 134, Robson 67, Clifford 63, and Tom Dearden with a 63 as well. Just quickly, we spoke about options for 5/8. Obviously earlier as well. Is AJ Brimson a option at all in that 5/8 position?
Hell yeah. If he's going to keep playing fullback. But
because they're talking that Kinney will be back. Like I think they said round 21 he's going to be back. So if he goes back into the centres, which most likely is probably what's going to happen, if Kinney goes back to fullback, then he's probably not a buy. So is it probably a void full knowing that we don't know what's going to happen in, say, 3 weeks' time?
You'd want to hope with the injury that Keeney's had that they're going to play him through Q Cup first. So you'd probably, there's a bit of a litmus test there as to how he goes in Q Cup. Obviously, if he's killing it at fullback in Q Cup, then they'll probably bring him straight back in or sooner rather than later. If he's not, then maybe they give him a bit of a spell there, and probably depends on how the Titans are going at the time as well. But let's be honest, they're not doing really well. Although this game finished 6 points difference, it seems like they were certainly not really in the game as such, and could have got a bit of a spanking.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Scoop? Any interest for you out of Brimson?
Not for my team sitting there with holding JC and Munster at the moment. I'll just sit that for the rest of the year. I'd say if Brimson works for your team, I suppose it's a play. But then, as we've just been talking about, when he moves again, what's he going to score like? I just don't really love that option when there's a few alternatives. So, and well, the Titans are the Titans. They don't play the Cows every week. And although the Cows were a lot better at times in this game in attack, I don't know how many avenues there will be for Brimson to score mass points.
Yeah. Just quickly, 2 other players I want to speak about. One's Bo Firma. Any love for Bo Firma at all, boys? Been going okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I'm probably gonna. I mean, it's a little bit sideways in some respects, but I think I'm going to go Ewan Aiken to Firma. He's just consistently scoring better, and it still gives me that centre wing, second row forward option. They seem to like going to that left-hand side, and he just seems to keep scoring. Whereas Ewan Aiken, I don't know, sometimes it looks like he couldn't catch a cold.
Well, don't go this week because he won't be there.
No, I'll wait till after the bye.
No, I thought you meant you were going to go at like now this week. I'm thinking,
No. I'll wait till next game, obviously. But yeah.
And lastly, who's the Tino owner here? What are we doing with Tino owners? Yeah. Another pretty poor score again this week after as well with a 57. He's going to lose a stack of cash this week. Are we just owners going to hang on to him, or are we looking to move him on after Origin?
Personally,
he's carrying an injury by the looks. So, yeah.
I'm just going to hold. There's not too much for me to... I can not play him very, very easily. My team value is 15.3 at the moment, and I've got 300,000 in the bank on top of that. Yeah, it doesn't worry me if he loses money. He's still a quality player. Yeah. I just won't play him. But yeah, he will be very handy in head-to-head finals. So I'll keep him.
Yeah,
I'm all about head-to-head now. I don't care about the rest. That's why I won't be trading this week. Trading?
You've been head-to-head for weeks. You're going that bad overall. You were head-to-head for round 3, weren't you?
Yes, well, that's why, like the last major buy round, I didn't do any trading. Made no point. You might as well just take the loss and let it go.
That's it.
But yeah, if you're head-to-head of this week and you're mainly playing for your head-to-heads, don't trade. That's the biggest advice I've got. Unless you're in one of those crazy head-to-heads that actually exist during the major buy rounds, but they're annoying.
That's all the games covered off for this week. Thank you again to our sponsor, Wedgetail Golf. If you haven't, go check them out, wedgetailgolf.com.au for any hats or T-shirts or anything that you might be acquiring for your golf. There we go. There's one Brad prepared earlier.
wedgetailgolf.com. Check out the website. That are some really good merch there. And he does have some new stuff coming online. I do believe he's been away sourcing out some new products and new things to get into the apparel range. So it'll be good there. Really good
Awesome.
stuff. All right. Anybody got any mad trades they're feeling like doing? You've already heard from me. I'm not. So anybody planning a trade?
No.
What about you, Scoop? Have you got
No.
any of your eyes on anything?
I'm probably going to go to Nwanganitawase next week. I just love what his ability is with his power stats, especially. And when he gets those attacking stats, he tends to go pretty big. Yeah, he'll go low sometimes, but a lot of wingers will do that. And so I'm pretty happy to take that risk considering his price isn't too bad. I think it's, what is it, 620? So
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy to jump on with that from Sharp. On Fermor as well, he's in contention for me. I had a look at those scores, and all scores without a try since those big ones have been 52 to mid 60s. So if you just tack a try onto that, there's a 90 like this week. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get consistency from him. And I really like that as a last centre wing or a last second row option that you play most weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, mate. That's exactly what I was looking at him. Just the numbers say it's a pretty easy swap, and while he's still pretty cheap, it's about an extra 100K for me to go from Ewan Aiken up to him. So a little bit of a no-brainer.
Do they play next week, the Titans?
Sorry?
Do the Titans play next week?
No,
they're on the bye.
No. Okay. Right. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But Fermor's in a good chance to be selected, isn't he, for Queensland? He'll be in the certainly the 25-man squad.
Well, he missed the last game. They dropped him after game one, so which I think is silly myself. I think having him on the left and Nanai on the right was the right play, but they seemed to drop him and then started Liero instead. So I think that's nuts in itself. But that's a whole other issue. The they
have made Tim, just quickly. They have made a change to the squad. They have brought in Josh Papali in for Fodawaker into the team as well. Still no announcement on signing that fullback position yet, but I'm pretty sure we think it's going to be Reece Walsh.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Scoop? Reece Walsh at fullback.
I think it's pretty expected. They were hoping to see some good Reece Walsh touches after his return from injury. And as you alluded to earlier in the podcast, if he's put away some of those silly things that can cost them, that may actually be really useful for Queensland. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they can go wrong with either option. Hammer 4 tries. He was also electric. It might be good to have both of them in the team.
Yeah.
I actually think for New South Wales it'll be excellent to have Reece Walsh there. I think it would be fantastic. Look, I don't think this week. I'm just having a look at where he was. Look, he had a nice try assist and some line breaks there, but he made just 100 metres of only a couple of runs. That's just way too little involvement for me. And he had less tackle busts than what Turbo did the other night.
I think the only issue is that we know that Billy has a love affair with him. If it was me, I would be putting Hammer at fullback and bringing Murray Talangi in on the wing. But I'm pretty certain we know that's not going to happen. And then don't forget last time what happened when Hammer played fullback. He scored 3 tries against us. I think that was the game when, when Suwali got sent off, wasn't it? Is that the game he scored the 3 tries, possibly?
Suwali got sent off after smashing Reece Walsh, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then I think Hammer went to fullback, and I think he scored 3 tries that game.
Yeah, possibly.
I think it was that one. Yeah.
Oh, we shall see.
A couple of questions on YouTube there. If Jaden Campbell wasn't injured, would you consider him at fullback? Anybody want to tackle that one?
Only 5'8" for me.
Yeah. I agree. I think he's just a 5'8" player. I don't think he's quite got the consistency on a regular basis for the ceiling that the other elite fullbacks have.
And Chris says he's a happy owner of Bo. He was vital for my win in head-to-head this week. Yeah, he's going pretty good, isn't he? He throws us Foran as well. And Foran, although he never scores well in Supercoach, but he does look like he's at least being a little bit consistent there. I hope we answered that for you. Booty Sweat. Oh, man, there's some mad names out there.
Where's Biggest? I want to know where Biggest Dickers is.
Oh, we don't know where he is this week. So
He's MIA.
Probably hanging out with holding my balls.
Is Booty Sweat a male or a female? Here's a question for you.
No idea. I figured it must have been one of the groupies off the hub or something, because I don't think we've seen him in here before. So anyway.
No, but anyway, thank you, Booty Sweat. Let us know, are you male or female? Because Rossco hasn't had a date in about 3 years, so he's looking. All right. Okay, so Scoop, anything more? You wanted to have a quick little chat about strategy you alluded to before, just to round up, finish off tonight. What were you going to have a little bit of a yarn about?
Yeah, it was just about finishing off that final team, planning that sort of centre wing 6 or maybe the second row 5. There's a few guys who are floating around as options. A lot of people have been considering, like your Prestons or your Beau Fermors and all that. They're really good, but as well, I think there's opportunity for you to plan well and have a big guy in there so that you aren't missing out on them in the run home. If you're forcing somebody in there because they're nice and cheap, that kind of locks up the position if you aren't able to get one of those guys firing in the run home. So at the moment, I'm actually running a little bit thin. I've got Karapani as my centre wing 6 and bringing in Nawa as centre wing 5 next week. That allows me to pick who I like out of the best second rower and the best centre wing in that round 19-20 and bank on them for that run home, because not being able to pick somebody up going on a huge run will be pretty tough to watch in that run home.
Yeah. No, indeed. Who you got your eye on, you think? Or are you just trying to plan?
Planning a little bit, but Hudson getting that low score and in low minutes makes me really, really keen to jump on a week or two after he comes back from the bye, and then that could be a fill up at that price.
Yeah, no, good one. And in line with what Scoop said there, now is the time to start having a look at the draw. Just remember, head-to-head is round 23 is critical. That is your first round. You want to be winning that one to try to give yourself a week off and all of those sorts of things. So round 23, it all starts. So make sure that you don't have players in your team that are going to be hit with buys, like Timmy was saying earlier. Have a good look, and you're going to be happy because you're not going to have a lot of trades. So just try to plan it ahead a little bit. Know your schedule. All right. Anything more, boys, to say?
No, just it's getting a bit exciting. Like we're all sort of starting to talk about our end games and things like that. But even just looking at my squad at the moment, like the guys that I'd like to bring in would be Hudson Young, Aaron Clark, Beau Fermor. But like just trying to work out how the hell to do it and who to drop and who to bring in. Like I said, it was pretty key for my game this week to hold on to Hosking. And my logic was, with Hudson Young going out, that he was going to pick up more minutes and be a fairly key attacking component to that cog for the Raiders. So I'm glad I held that one, especially now in updates he's gone to 106. So it's I don't know. Like it's Aaron Clark's one I've been looking at for a long time and just haven't been able to pull the trigger and make it work. So he's another one that I've got to try and find a way to, because he's certainly a player that a lot of the teams around me in overall ranks have got him and I don't. So I don't think it's a player that I want to anti-pod. I was at the game on the weekend, and obviously the bloke is just in everything. I know his score didn't go quite as well as he has been, but he was off the field for a little while this week. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a few scary players there I'd like to bring in, but how do you fit them all? That's the tough part.
No, 100%. Rossco, anything more?
No, not for me. Obviously, I just want to say a huge thank you to Scoop for jumping on the podcast today. We're very appreciative of you coming on. As I said, if you haven't gone and checked it out on Discord, go check out the Supercoach Hub. do a great job over there. Kane, the other boys, Scoop. I think there's also Mr. Charity as well that does some work for them too. So do go over there and check them out. It's fantastic. And but other than that, I'll see everyone on Tuesday for TLT round 18.
Yes, it was a different year this year at Magic Round, not seeing Mr. Charity do his old shoey on the.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not all crazy Eels fans, so come over and have a look. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Not a problem. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We did have quite a few YouTubers there at one stage, and there's still a handful of you there now. Loved loved the questions, loved everything there today. Sorry for the Facebookers, but we will be putting this back up on Facebook, the feed after we finish here tonight. Till next week, don't forget the live. We'll be doing a livey on Tuesday afternoon, night, and we'll let you know the time for Teamless Tuesday.